G'day and welcome back to the 40 channel. So today Aliyah is going to help me out. We're going to finish this head off and get this thing pretty much ready to go back on the block, and then we can focus on rebuilding the block when all the parts turn up. Righto Aliyah, what are we doing today?
We're pulling apart the rocker assembly.
The rocker assembly. Cool. So this whole assembly, I've cleaned it all up just in the parts washer as is, but we need to strip the entire thing down for a number of reasons. One, we have oil that runs through the center shaft and it comes up through all these little oil holes. We want to make sure that everything is clean and prepped so that oil is not starved to any of this. So we're going to pull it all apart. We're going to check all the bushes. We're going to check all these little holes. See all these little holes here? Make sure that they're all free, that none of them are clogged up. We're going to strip off all the adjuster nuts. Make sure they're not bound up or locked up so that we can adjust them when we put all the motor back together. Alright, let's start stripping it down, Ali.
Okay.
So all we need is a 17mm spanner, decent screwdriver, a little screwdriver, 17mm socket just to help break it all apart. Right, this retainer clip here on the end, that's the first thing that needs to come off. So the quickest way and easiest way to get that off is sometimes you can just pull it off. Just get a small screwdriver, slide it in, and we can just pry it up. So I'm going to get Aliyah to do that. Now just put your hand over the top of it so when you pry it up, it doesn't fly off. Perfect, pull that spring off. You can start pulling the whole rocker assembly part and putting it all down in order so it's nice and neat so we don't lose a single piece.
Yep. Enough goes there. These ones are hard.
Yeah. If they are that one's a little bit hard, you can put a screwdriver in here into this little gap and you just give it a very light, just push it up and down very lightly, and then it should come off a little bit easier. Alright, good job Aliyah. You stripped that right down. Now it's all pretty clean. See all these little oil holes?
Yep.
We need to make sure that they, oh I just ripped my glove, they are clean. See that?
Yep.
Make sure there's no gunk in any of them.
Yep.
Make sure they go back in the right spot.
Yep.
And our shaft, we're going to clean that up too.
Yep.
And again with all the little holes, just get our little scriber and push them through. And then we'll clean it all up. Okay, now we also want to inspect the inside bush. Make sure there's no damage or score to any of that. Righto, do all the rest. Righto, now we're going to take our rocker arms and we're just going to strip out our adjuster nut off the back here. So we're going to take the whole thing apart. We've got a 17mm nut on the top. So we're going to undo that, pull the whole adjuster nut out, the whole piece out, so we can check it all, make sure the thread's okay and it all moves all right. We're going to put it in a vise, but you must make sure that you have some aluminium soft jaws or something like that, so you're not going to damage any of the surfaces, and we're not going to do the vise up tight at all. All we're going to do is just so it holds it in place so it can't move around, okay? So put it in the vise. So put it down. Yeah. Okay, so undo that. It's going to be a bit tight. That's it. Awesome. Take it off. Now, screwdriver. Keep going. That's it. Now you should be able to undo it all with your fingers. Yeah, you got to use muscles. That's it. Good girl.
Now, take this and this.
Righto. And do it with your fingers now.
Ready for the next screws?
Now we've cleaned up all the little holes, we've cleaned up all the inside, so we know it's all good to go.
Yep.
But it's just looks a little bit off, and we want to clean this entire shaft up just to make sure that there's no little burrs or little marks or anything on there from where the springs were or the rockers or anything like that were. And all we're going to do that is similar process, just use our polishing pad on the grinder. This is a 1000 grit polishing pad, so it's actually quite soft. We're going to put it in the vise. Soft jaws, very important to use soft jaws. And these actually have like a V cut in them, so the beauty is just slide it in. You're not doing it up at all because you can still spin it. Right, so we're just going to clean up all these little mating surfaces on the end of the rockers, just to make sure that there's no burrs and just remove any of that carbon and rubbish build up. Set it in the vise again, and we're just going to clean over that mating surface just with your polishing pad. Now, it's only a polishing pad, but it can still do some damage, so still take care. Put your safety glasses on. Again, we're only just doing that up, so it's just loose. And that's all we're doing, no more than that. Do the other side and we're done. Alright, now it's time to start putting everything back together. We know all our oil holes are all cleaned out. We've cleaned up our shaft, it came out really, really nicely. There's no burrs, no marks or anything on that, which is good. Cleaned up, while you ran up to get shoes on, I just cleaned up all these machine surfaces to make sure there's no burrs or anything in there. We've also cleaned out all the inside of all these bushes and made sure that the oil groove is all okay, and again that there's no damage, no score marks or anything like that in them, and we're actually looking really good, Aliyah.
It's good.
So I want you to put all your adjuster nuts back in.
Yep.
Then we're going to start assembling it all and we can put it back on the head.
Yep.
Pretty cool, huh? Righto, start doing that. You do those ones and I'll start this end. Now we're only doing them up just finger tight, because obviously we're going to have to readjust this entire head when it all goes back on. See this surface right here that pushes on the valves? We're just going to give that a little quick clean up on the linisher, just to remove that bit of a groove in there, so it'll be all nice and flat. Righto, so now we're going to put it all back together, Ali. Now we use the R44. I haven't spoken about this one much, but this one here is actually a really thick lubricant and it just sticks to everything. So it's really, really good for this type of stuff. It's going to be perfect for lubricating it all as we reassemble it all. Another thing some people do use is you can use like a Molly-Tap grease. Again, you can use that, but I'm going to use this sticky, thick lubricant from Chem Tools, and that should do a really good trick. That's it. Excellent. Now slide your spring on, so the big end on first.
This way?
Yep. Perfect. Spray all your little oil holes in the shaft. Perfect. Now we're going to spray the inside and down our little oil hole. And then just slide them on the exact same way they all came off. Make sure you make note that you don't put the shaft on the wrong way, and the holes are actually on the bottom.
Now this?
Yep, that. So I'll give that a spray.
Look at that.
And see those. And we've got our little divots just in the shaft here. You want that to line up with our bolt hole. That's it. Slide the spring on. Righto, now you've got it all together, Aliyah.
Yep.
We'll just give it one quick spray in all those little oil ports so that the lubrication's all the way through it.
There you go.
Now we can sit it on the head. Right, and the last part we need to put together for this, for the rocker valve assembly, is our main little oil feeder. So it's just two parts with a spring. Now we've cleaned it all out just using our little scriber. We've made sure that all our little, again, all the little oil part, we've cleaned it all out. So again, we've made sure that all those little oil holes are all totally clean, that there's going to be no restriction to oil flowing through all of this. Because what happens if we can't get oil flowing through all of this?
It will bind up and seize. What?
Well, that's right. It'll seize it.
Seize it.
So yeah, it could seize all these rockers up. It could burn them out. And that's the last thing we want. So just get our spring. I'm going to drop that in to our feeder. That just sits together like that. Now the feeder sits in between our two assemblies. So we're going to put that together. What we might do is drop two bolts in the middle one here, and then we'll push that one on, drop two bolts on the end one there, Ali.
Okay.
Alright?
Yep.
Yep. Righto. Just do them up finger tight. Now there's grooves in this center shaft where our bolts line up to. You may need to do a little bit of wiggling to make sure that they're in the correct position.
Right.
I'll chop those two bolts down. Yep, so the last few bolts to go in now that we've got that oil lined up.
Screw them.
Just do them up by hand. That'll do for the moment. Right. Now these are the long bolts to hold the tappet cover on. So we'll put them in place as well. Right, we're only doing these up just to nip them up, and then we're going to get our torque wrench out. We're going to torque them up. Righto, so you've nipped all those bolts up.
Yep.
Now we're going to use the torque wrench.
Yep.
We're going to torque them all up so they don't over tighten them. Alright, so I've just showed you what a torque wrench is and how it works. And our torque rating for our rocker head assembly bolts are 3.4 to 4.1 kilos or 25 to 30 foot-pound. So we've set it all up. Now if you want to tighten them all up, Aliyah, we'll be done.
This one?
Yep. Guess what, Aliyah?
What?
Look what Mum's brought.
so you don't have to leave the shed.
How nice is that?
You morning tea.
Morning tea,
There you go.
some slice, tea, fruit. Say thanks, Mum.
Thank you. Oh, this one's not cooking.
Righto, a couple more to go and then we can have a bit of morning tea that Mum's brought up.
Yep.
Isn't that nice? How nice is Mum
Very nice.
looking after us? Well done, Aliyah. All the rocker assembly is totally rebuilt. It's all cleaned up. It's all torqued up. The whole head is done now, so that's fantastic. So you helped paint the tappet cover the other day, so that's all done. So now we can hopefully focus on the block. It's really, really cool. Well done, Aliyah. Thank you very much for your help.
That's alright.
You painted the tappet cover the other day and it came up really, really nice. And we might have some morning tea and then we might look at painting some other bits and pieces and cleaning some other things up. We don't film too much of our cleaning and painting because it's quite time consuming and really it's pretty boring. If you just watch us wire wheeling, scrubbing, cleaning, buffing and painting all day, every day, there would be like hours and hours of video that just isn't very entertaining. So anyway, let's get into some morning tea. Righto, so that's pretty much it for this episode. Aliyah's been an amazing help. We've put the entire head all back together. So all the rockers are back on and we've cleaned up the tappet cover. It's all painted. It looks fantastic, doesn't it?
Yep.
You happy with your job?
Yes.
Do you trust it?
I think so.
Alright, so that's really, really cool. So with this time we used a bit of R44. It came in really, really handy with the assembly because it was just that sticky stuff, wasn't it? It was really good. Now something else I want to give a quick plug to is some of our merch. So you've already seen me plug the 40 channel shirts. So we've got, you know, your couple different styles there with shirts and hoodies, singlets, all that type of stuff. The old grandma drawing on the back. But what else have we got, Aliyah?
Hats.
Hats. Just arrived only yesterday are the bucket hats. So that's really cool. Now there's caps coming as well, so they'll be another couple of weeks off before we get to show them. But you can jump straight on the Reef Monkey site and check out all the new sort of stuff. So you got your bucket hats, you got your caps, and you got your trucker hats. So a whole lot of different style hats for you guys to pick from. Righto guys, thank you so much again for all your support. Feel free to subscribe. Hit the like button, feel free to leave a comment, check out our Instagram page for extra updates, all that type of stuff. And until next time,
Thanks for watching.